What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com, live on Facebook after the Packers drop an embarrassing one to the Baltimore Ravens, 23-0. The first time the Packers have been shut out here at Lambeau Field since 2006, Mike McCarthy's first year in town. Funnily enough, he was shut out his very first game as head coach against the Chicago Bears. Christopher starts us off in the comment section with, "Welcome to hell." It's not good. It's definitely not good. Brett Hundley took a big step back today. You got to wonder if that fourth quarter in Chicago maybe gave him, McCarthy, the offense, a little false hope. Coming into this game, I thought for sure the MO would be to pound the football. McCarthy did anything but. He came out slinging it, calling lots of play-action passes, trying to push the ball downfield, which seemed to be the way to go there in the first drive. Moved it right down onto the doorstep of the end zone. And then Brett Hundley happened over and over and over again. Whether it's the terrible pick in the end zone, whether it's the awful pick trying to find Lance Kendricks deep down the right sideline, whether it's the fumble where he's holding onto the ball too long. It was just a bad day for Brett Hundley all around. Even when he wasn't throwing the ball away or turning it over, he was taking too long in the pocket, bailing when he didn't need to, running backwards for no reason. Just an ugly display of quarterback play from the Packers quarterback today. I guess it's a good thing I couldn't get the game on TV in Minnesota. Yeah, you missed a good one to miss. That was a big step back. He seems he can't think fast and drops back too far. Yeah, Rob, it's not pretty. There's no two ways about it. You can't sugarcoat it. That was an ugly display of football from Brett Hundley and from the offense. The defense, did its job. They was 6-0 at halftime. It was 13-0, pretty much heading into the fourth quarter there. Packers had every way to win this game. All they had to do was make a play on offense, and they just couldn't do it, mostly because of the quarterback. But obviously a fumble by Devontae Mays and his first professional snap didn't help. Drops didn't help. But overall, the quarterback just has to play better. Like I said, there's no two ways about it. Next week will be a pretty amazing upset. John with some positivity here in the comment section. John, I hate to tell you, but it's going to be uglier on Sunday night than it was this afternoon here at Lambeau. The Pittsburgh game will not be pretty. Will Gruden be in the coach discussion this offseason? No, Stanford, he will not. Does this increase Rodgers' value? No, I think it just kind of solidifies it. Aaron Rodgers was going to get paid big time this offseason, regardless of what happened this year. So I don't think anybody is surprised at how valuable Aaron Rodgers is, at least around here. This team is nothing without Rodgers, says Alex. I don't quite agree with that. I think there are a lot of very talented players, but they are not playing well without Aaron Rodgers. That is for sure. Only holding on to the ball too long. It is funny. He does look a little bit like 2008 Rodgers in that regard. Aaron had that bad habit himself for a long time. The difference is that you could see glimpses where Aaron was making plays. Brett Hundley's not making plays. It would be one thing if he was holding on to the ball too long, but then you could see glimpses of playmaking, ability to create. You're not seeing any of that with Hundley. You're seeing holding on to the ball too long and poor decision making for the most part. Will they move the game to Sunday afternoon? No, they can't. The Pittsburgh Packers game is locked in. They have to make the announcement 12 days in advance, and they've made the announcements. They did move some games from noon to 4:25 or 3:25 here Central Time, but the Packers game was left alone. So it is locked in. Next Sunday night for all the nation to see. Should be a good one. We will lose to the Browns. Watch and see. It's a possibility. Distinct possibility. Do you think we will beat the Browns? A lot of questions about the Browns. If they play like they did today, no. Anyone can write a playbook for Rodgers. David, now that I disagree with. If you don't have a good leader, your good players won't feel confident in playing well. I think, I'm twofold on that. I agree somewhat, but I also think McCarthy is a good leader. I think he's a good coach. He is not doing a very good job of getting this team ready to play or playing, up to playing on Sunday. Despite losing Rodgers, Adams is going to get paid. That is true, Jesse, although he had a brutal drop up the right sideline there coming out of the end zone. First round pick running back, Ivan, I would be shocked. Any update on Clark? No, Ben, they didn't have any updates for any of the injuries, of which there were 3 significant ones. Clay Matthews with the groin, obviously out, and then Kenny Clark, I believe it was Kenny Clark was an ankle, and then Justin McCray was a knee. None of those guys returned. Demarius Randall did return after getting checked out after he hit his head falling during that touchdown catch. McCarthy is 4-9-1 without Rodgers. That is correct. Steelers will be bad. Callahan needs a shot. I agree. I asked Mike if he thought about going to Callahan at any point during the game. I thought he might at halftime, but Mike reiterated his faith in Brett Hundley, and Brett Hundley will be the starter on Sunday in Pittsburgh. It's going to be something to behold. Drop the gum and trying to look the part, Brett. Phil, I think the last thing they need to worry about is whether Brett Hundley is chewing gum or how he looks. He can look however he wants if he just makes plays. His look is the least of their concerns. Should we have kept Hill instead of Callahan? I know people. I've had a lot of people bring that up on my Twitter account. Sure, maybe. I mean, I understand why they tried to get him onto the practice squad, and I also understand why it was a risk. But at the end of the day, Hill was a guy who made a couple of plays in a couple of preseason games against 3rd and 4th stringers with his legs. It's not a guy who lit it up through the air. Maybe he would have given them a better option than Callahan, but Callahan's been in the system, now for 2 years. I don't think it would be that great a difference, and I don't think there's any. I still think McCarthy would be sticking by Hundley regardless of who the backup is. So I don't think it's that big a deal. Run the Wildcat for the entire game. Charles, they might not gain a yard. Their Wildcat plays have been abysmal. I don't know what they're trying to do there. Unless Cobb ends up throwing the ball at some point, they are just wasting plays with that Wildcat stuff. I Am Legend says we need to fire McCarthy and Dom Capers. I don't doubt that talk will continue throughout the season. The worse they look, the more we'll hear it, and the more they will hear it. The only ones that matter, though, I keep saying it, are Ted Thompson and Mark Murphy. And ultimately, it's all on Mark Murphy. And Mark Murphy has gone out of his way time and again to reiterate his confidence and support for Ted Thompson and Mike McCarthy. So, I don't see much changing this offseason. They'll get Aaron Rodgers back, they'll load back up, and they'll come back next year and write this off as a lost season. Can we talk about free agency for next year instead? They still got a bunch of games to play. Hundley or Tolzien feel like we've seen this before. Yeah, Mike, the difference was with Tolzien, you kind of understood it and you could kind of dismiss it because of the fact that Tolzien didn't come in to the Packers camp until early September. So he had no offseason with them, and he was really learning the system on the fly. So when he did get his chance to start, you understood, okay, yeah, he doesn't look very good because, he's learning this as he's playing. With Brett Hundley, guy's been here 3 years. You would expect, a little bit more out of your quarterback. Now, today's game is exactly what I've been talking about. Anybody who is on here regularly post-game knows that I've been saying this every week when people have been calling for Mike McCarthy to, quote-unquote, open it up with Brett Hundley. That's what you get. That's what you get. Brett Hundley, this idea that he's going to be able to push the ball downfield and throw it all over the yard, he is not that quarterback. And I think Mike McCarthy got a little overconfident off of what he saw in the fourth quarter down in Chicago. And he designed a game plan around the idea that they could push the ball downfield against this Ravens secondary, which kind of blows my mind. I think that's a terrible matchup. And McCarthy's reasoning after the game was that he didn't want to ride Jamal Williams because he was worried because he was the only back with any experience. He's a rookie, for God's sakes. He didn't have confidence in Devontae Mays, and you could double that once he fumbled. So I get all that, but then sign a running back. Go get a running back. You've used Ripkowski as a back before. You've used Randall Cobb in the backfield before. You can still run the football. But it's just that idea that they were going to try and now all of a sudden shift into play action, throwing it downfield against this secondary. I don't understand that at all. Very good point. Overconfidence, thought the same. Mike, it sure looked like it. We're going to have 40 years of Favre and Rodgers, make 3 Super Bowls because we are so reluctant to make changes. Possibly. How does he can push it, but we still have to have the running game. I did not like the play calling, especially those first couple drives. Well, you can't argue about the play calling on the first drive. Should have been a touchdown. So that drive should have ended in a touchdown had it not been for a bad play by Brett Hundley. So I can't really fault the play calling on that drive. I was very surprised that they didn't run it more. I will say that. They didn't lean on the running game more. But the particular calls, I'm more surprised at the game plan than the actual play calling. Williams played well, should have fed him more. Louis, I couldn't agree more. I thought when they did run it, he was effective. He was doing a very good job. It seemed like they were blocking well up front. Maybe McCray going down later on in the second half altered things, but they did go to some more spread stuff and some more up tempo. But man, it looks like they were running the ball really well when they chose to run it. Rodgers isn't going to play forever. We need to find someone who can fill in and not look like he's lost out there. Well, that's not going to happen this year, I can tell you that. Defense was at least doing their part to get the ball back for the offense. I agree, Donnie. They really came to play. Now, the caveat, of course, is that the Ravens have had an awful offense for most of the season. Joe Flacco has played some really terrible football throughout 2017. But yes, the defense did. Clinton Dix did have the dropped interception, but he came back and made a nice big play there on the attempted wheel route to Danny Woodhead. But yeah, it's the defense did everything they could. You cannot put this game on the defense at all. Only positive on this day is I played the Baltimore D. Wes, well done. Browns scored more points today. I think everyone in the NFL scored more points today. Play calling has been terrible after his opening drive script. Fire McCarthy. I think we'll get a lot of those. Every team has a bad season this year. Just happens to be our year. Yes and no, Tyler. I think it is reasonable to say that they're having a down year and just punt on it. But on the other hand, it says something that one player, albeit the most important position on the team, quarterback touches the ball every play, etc. I understand all that. But when one guy goes down and it basically torpedoes your entire season, it should cause reflection and it should put the spotlight on Ted Thompson and on Mike McCarthy for the fact that they are a one-man team. Essentially, that's what they're kind of confirming with this stretch here. And that's no way to A, construct a roster, and B, a way for, to have long-term success in the NFL. We have become the Bears. Well, Steve, the Bears have been looking for a quarterback for a long time, and now you see what it's like while you're looking. Even a broken clock gets it right twice a day. Thank you, Phil. McCarthy is fine. Capers is meh. That's one way to look at it. Defense played well, but it takes both offense and defense to play a game. Correct, Jeannie. Why keep Clay when he's hurt every year? Well, I would tend to think he probably will be gone next year unless he agrees to a pay cut, because they can cut him this offseason without cap penalty. Now, I tend to think they'll probably go to him and ask him to take a pay cut. Whether he'll accept that or not, I don't know. Any chance we beat the Steelers next week, Kevin? There's an infinitesimal one, yes. Infinitesimal. I hear BJ Raji's phone ringing. Nice. Well done. The Browns' offense isn't great, but their defense is going to stifle our offense. I think most defenses are going to stifle the Packers' offense. I think the Bears probably just played a really bad game, and they were without their best player on defense in Danny Trevathan last week. Packers got a little lucky there, but I don't know. We'll see. Will, in all caps, asks, chance we get Bennett's bonus back? Martellus Bennett, yes, suited up for the Patriots last Sunday. He's playing right now as we speak. Yeah, I think there's a very good chance to get his bonus back. Open your eyes, McCarthy, and put in Callahan. I'm with you. I thought he should have put Callahan in at halftime, but after the game, McCarthy reiterated his faith in Brett Hundley and declared that Brett Hundley will be the starter Sunday night in Pittsburgh. I really want Flynn back. I'll bet McCarthy does too. I really hope Rodgers doesn't play the rest of his year. I don't care if he's 100%. Don't take the chance. Yeah, a couple more games like this and he'll be academic anyway. Cobb was a good college QB. Any chance we at least let him practice? Chris, that's not going to happen. Great pick in the draft next year. Tim, it's looking better and better. I am sorry to admit I'm a Packers fan. Oof, harsh in here today. How has Dean Lowry become your most dependable defensive player? It was funny, too, because he's had a rather pedestrian season, but he played well today. There's no doubt about that. Do we get a compensatory pick for Bennett? Yes, kind of. Because they cut him before week 10, it does not cancel out in the compensatory formula the pick they would have gotten for Micah Hyde. Now they get it again. It's either a 5th or 4th rounder. We'll see. Strength and conditioning coach needs to go. I assume that's because of all the injuries. Ted Thompson didn't get a veteran or a viable backup quarterback. He needs to go too. That is certainly your right to voice that opinion. I'm not so sure that Mark Murphy is going to look at even one game or even a stretch of games and make that determination. He has said time and time again that Ted Thompson can or will be allowed to finish out his contract, which goes through the 2018 draft, the draft after the 2018 season. So you got a little bit longer yet to deal with old Ted Thompson. How good is Aaron Rodgers? When they were 4-1, some power polls had him listed as number 1 or 2 on the NFL. It shows you how important Aaron Rodgers is. Did Mike Daniels really wee himself? I don't know. It sure looked like it in that picture that was circulating around the internet. Do we get a comp pick for having to play Hundley? That's a good question. Do you think Mike McCarthy still believes in Hundley or just says it? I think he still does, actually. I think Mike McCarthy is one of the most stubborn individuals I've ever met on this planet. Can we finally stop hearing about these new age athlete QBs? I don't know, man. Deshaun Watson was tearing it up before he got hurt. I'm not so sure you're going to stop hearing about it anytime soon. Beagle played well. Ryan lost on coverage. Matthews to the middle. Ryan to bench. Rick, that's a lot of stuff in one little comment. I agree. Beagle seemed to have a good game. Ryan got sucked up on that one play action to open the second half. I thought he played okay in the run game, but yeah, he's not. The coverage is not a strong suit. There's no doubt about that. But I love my Packers, but nauseated today. That pretty much covers it, I would say. Bad short yardage offense. It has been hard to watch. Very hard to watch. Packers defense versus Steelers offense. Who wins? Brenton, that would be the Steelers offense nearly every time. Ted Thompson needs to go. Find something better to do. What else would you want to be doing? Give me $100 and a couple brats and I'll play QB. Couldn't be any worse. See, now I know you're kind of joking, but that is a bit dismissive of the work that these guys do as professionals. And I understand we're in the internet comment section, whatever. I understand that, but the whole idea of I could do a better job. Just recognize that these guys are doing things. Even some of the worst players in the NFL, quote unquote, are doing things that you and I could never ever do if we were giving 1,000 chances. Clinton Dix had a great game. He had a better game, definitely. I thought he still took a couple bad angles, still whiffed on a couple tackles, but he did make that really nice interception. He did do a good job filling on occasion. Had some nice tackles, stuck his nose in there against the run, which he doesn't always do. So I thought it was a better effort from definitely. Can Green Bay score negative points? Good question, Alex. I thought they may have at halftime there. Annual midseason, late season Matthews injury. Yep, popped up today. Mason Crosby was killing it for his sole kick today. Very consistent. Well played. Capers going to be gone. Eric, I think the chances are very good that Dom Capers has probably shown the door at the end of the season. They are playing poorly when you watch Red Zone and your team doesn't come up at all. Oh, that's good. He has a clear INT drop too. Yes, Adam's talking about Clinton Dix. He did have that one diving play there in the first quarter. He absolutely has to come up with that ball. It allowed them to get 3 points on the board. Will they play Hundley next week? Sorry, I'm late. No problem. I understand. And yes, Mike McCarthy reiterated his faith in Brett Hundley and named Hundley the starter Sunday night in Pittsburgh. Worst game you've ever seen them play? Question mark. Them, you mean McCarthy's team? One of the worst. It's up there, at least on offense. In the history of my time watching the Packers, since 1973, no. Callahan is the only option looking forward. Need to see who can win games if Aaron Rodgers is out. Hundley proved it isn't him. I would agree somewhat. I think I can't believe they didn't give Hundley a chance or Callahan a chance in this game. But the fact that they didn't tells you all you need to know. It is going to be Hundley time unless he gets injured. As frustrated as I am with the defense, this is almost all on the offense for today. Absolutely. The defense did its job today. Does the offensive line get frustrated with quarterback play, Jack? Yes. They will never admit it publicly, but yes, they do. But that goes back to when, even when Rodgers is in there, they get kind of frustrated at times. I mean, T.J. Lang made it, was not quiet about it when he was here. Those times when the quarterback is holding the ball 4, 5, 6 seconds or bailing on clean pockets. Those things will frustrate you as an offensive lineman, no doubt about it. Will the Browns beat us if we play like we did today? Yes. Why does Hundley throw the ball downfield too much when under pressure? That's a good question. Sometimes I think he's trying to make a play. Sometimes I think he's throwing it away, but doesn't have the arm strength. The lack of arm strength really showed up today on a couple of throws. A few of those he's fighting against the wind, but most NFL starters can cut through that. You can tell he does not have a rocket there. How much does Mike McCarthy's stubbornness affect the Packers? A fair amount, I think. A fair amount. All right, everybody. Who can step up and help our offense? Craig, you would think Jamal Williams, or, Aaron Jones could have before he got hurt. I think Jamal Williams could if they committed to the running game. But for whatever reason, McCarthy, his story is that he didn't want to ride a running back when he only had one running back available that he trusted. I tend to think he just got a little overconfident in what he thought he could do in the passing game. That's just my 2 cents. Ramon, when is Rodgers coming back? He won't be this year if they play a few more games like that. O-line's fault or Brett holding on the ball too long on the sacks? Most of that is on Brett, from what I saw. I'll have to go back and watch it. There were a play here or there where, especially when Spriggs came in, Spriggs got beat bad on a couple of those. But before McCray went out, almost all of those were on Hundley. Leave Hundley in so we can get a high draft pick. Maybe that's the plan? I don't know. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining me. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. Make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. We'll have everything from the 23-0 shellacking the Packers took here at Lambeau today. And we'll look forward to that Steelers matchup next Sunday night. I'll be back tomorrow after we hear from the locker room and from McCarthy. Until then, thanks a lot, everyone.